For this Eyewitness News special report. Drag Queen Story Hour at North Park Library is set to begin in just a few minutes, and we've just learned that they are now splitting this into 3 sessions of 25 minutes each. You're taking a live look outside the scene of North Park Branch Library. Supporters and protesters gathered on either side of the entrance there. An Evansville police SUV parked right out front. In fact, there's a heavy police presence inside and outside the library. Thanks for being with us here this morning. I'm Jake Boswell. We're tracking this story that's been so controversial in Evansville for the last few weeks or so. We have team coverage for you live here on Facebook this morning. We actually also have a camera inside the library this morning. Our reporter Amelia Young is there right now. She has been tracking this situation for the last 30 minutes or so as preparations are underway for this story hour. That's a photo from inside about 25 minutes ago. A number of families, I would say at least 24, already sitting down preparing for this event happening in Evansville. EVPL staff has made it clear that people are not there. If they're not there for library business, they have to be outside at least 10 feet away from the building, the room where all of this is going to take place. So Amelia is covering everything on Twitter as the event happens. You can follow her on our Eyewitness News Twitter page. Let's go ahead and give you a look at our Twitter page this morning. Amelia has had coverage of the protesters that are standing outside. She's also given us looks inside, and part of those looks have been the families preparing, but also the law enforcement standing by there in the lobby as people come in and out of the North Park Branch Library just across from Central High School in Evansville. This has been a subject that's been talked about on our newscast and around the tri-state for several weeks or so since it's been announced. Everything is set to get underway in the next 5 minutes or so. We know that what's supposed to happen today is that a performer who is a drag queen will be reading books. There are supposed to be sing-alongs, coloring, crafts, and parents are there with their children. Protests have been happening for months at various meetings, including the Vanderburgh County Council, County Commission, and EVSC Board. All of those groups appointing a board member to the Evansville Vanderburgh Public Library. Many of the protesters are at the event this morning that have been protesting at those meetings, and standing outside for more than an hour now is our Eyewitness News reporter Tyler Druin. Tyler is standing with them. Tyler, some big numbers outside the library, and it looks like some people are there in support of this event and others protesting as they have been.
Yeah, Jake, that's right. We're out here live right now at the North Park Library. Police say that more people showed up than expected out here. I'm estimating probably 200 people, maybe a little bit more. Evansville police just told us a few moments ago that the library is at full capacity right now for supporters bringing their children out to essentially allow them in for Drag Queen Story Hour. So like you had mentioned just a little bit ago, the library... 25-minute segments to allow all of the children the opportunity to hear a story. Now we're out here, and we've actually got some interviews lined up. She's a city council, 5th Ward. She's going to run for city council here in Evansville, and she says that she is in full support of Drag Queen Story Hour. So we'll talk to her in just a little bit. She's busy right now with her family and children, but nonetheless, there is a lot of people out here tonight, or this morning rather, and it's really surprising. Police, there is a large police presence out here. Evansville Police Department is doing a good job doing crowd control. well. You can pan over here. I'll have my photographer Cameron to pan back here. There's protesters with signs. You can see they've got megaphones, and they've just got a lot of messages. Also, something that I haven't seen in Evansville since I've been here. So Evansville Police.
Going to a public library does not make it unsafe.
People out here tonight or this morning for Drag Queen Story Hour. We're expecting more people out here for Drag Queen Story Hour. You can take a look at this line if Cameron wants to pan over towards the entrance.
Yeah, all the people. Gotta wait in line. They're at capacity, so when people
Hungry Little Caterpillar, Brown Bear, and Goodnight Moon. A Drag Queen Story Hour is actually a trending national topic right now in cities like Houston, Los Angeles, Chicago, and other parts of California. Just last weekend, Greenville, South Carolina had a Drag Queen Story Hour similar to this one right here, and protesters and supporters alike showed up in the rain there as well. Now, right now in Indianapolis, there's a Drag Queen Story Hour going on at a bookstore. Not sure what the crowds look like up there, but essentially it's going on simultaneously as well. So, Jake, a lot of people out here supporting us, a lot of people out here upset about this.
All right, Tyler, we appreciate that coverage. We may go back out to you in the next few minutes or so. Obviously, a loud scene out there. Tyler doing his best to talk over, like we saw some people there with a megaphone. We also saw plenty of people there trying to get in the doors. You could even hear one of the police officers there with the security service letting them know that the library is currently at capacity. That could be one of the reasons why this has been broken up into 3 sessions. So a large crowd inside the library. We have pictures of that. We also can see, we just gave you a live look at the people outside the library. A huge contingency, some in support, and as this has been divisive, some people protesting. Now let's give you some more insight into exactly what's happening inside the library. Tyler just gave us a rundown exactly of what's happening. They're reading a few different stories. There are going to be some activities after those stories are read. And Eyewitness News' Amanda Mueller actually sat down with the volunteer who's going to be in the spotlight in just a few minutes. Owen Jackson is well-traveled. He's a chef, an Evansville community member, and a drag queen. Florentine Dawn, as he's known, will read to those children.
Owen Jackson may have twice the amount of friends as most people because he's got twice the personality. There's Owen.
It's all worth it. It really is. It's been very worth it to me.
And then there's Florentine Dawn.
She is 2 sizes bigger than me. She has definitely longer hair.
Owen chose 3 books for Florentine to read at Drag Queen Story Hour.
One of them is Goodnight Moon. The other one is The Hungry Little Caterpillar. And then the other book is, having a blank, Brown Bear, Brown Bear.
Owen's and Florentine's work has not been without controversy.
We have made our concerns very clear.
After months of protests, on Friday, a local publication, the Vandenberg Independent Press, raised concerns that the library did not background check Jackson. The library confirmed that, citing its policy to background check employees, but not volunteers. Volunteers are directly supervised by employees. That same publication also reported Jackson may have a history with the Department of Child Services. The author of the article, who the publication did not identify, claimed that students who attended school with him, and even a sibling, knew of the situation. I asked Jackson about those accusations.
In the article, they make some accusations about some DCS background issues. Specifically that, you were made to sleep apart from the rest of the family, etc. What is your response to that?
That it never has happened, ever. I've never had a DCS case in the state of Indiana or ever. Never.
You're confident they're not going to substantiate anything.
I know. I will say this. To people that may agree to this story, that's your own opinion. But I know on a regular daily basis, all my friends and family members and people that are supportive of me, know that has never happened.
I checked the sex offender registry and Jackson is not on it. I also checked the Indiana Department of Correction offender database and found no records. And I called DCS. I am awaiting a return call.
My message to the parents that are concerned about this article is there's nothing to be worried about.
Jackson says he knows everyone will not agree with him, but he has one request.
I probably would tell them, please be mindful and please be respectful. Everyone's lives matter. Everyone's opinion matter. I'm definitely not there to change anyone's mind or opinion at all.
It's Amanda Mueller giving us a look at Owen Jackson, the performer who is set to lead Drag Queen Story Hour inside the North Park Library here in just a few minutes. There's another story, though, taking place this hour just down the road. This is at the Gathering Church off of Walnut. There are 15 readers lined up to read in that event, including firefighters and even some kids themselves. The church pastor says this event is not a retaliation to Drag Queen Story Hour, but it's actually inspired by it. You're taking a live look inside the Gathering Church right now. It is getting underway at the moment as well. It's supposed to start at 10 a.m. and it's open to everyone of all ages. It's not just Story Hour, though, at this event at the Gathering Church. They're also doing other activities with the children and the families that are taking part. So this is something that has been inspired by Drag Queen Story Hour just down the road from the North Park Library. This is on Walnut at the Gathering Church in Evansville. You're taking a live look inside. You can see the crowd in there starting to gather and join and enjoy their Saturday morning. Let's take you back down the street now outside of the North Park Library branch. Supporters and protesters gathered as they have been for more than an hour now on either side of the entrance. You can see a number of people have brought signs, some of them in support, like the sign you see there. Some people not in support necessarily of this. Signs really from both sides. An Evansville police SUV is parked outside of this event. You can see so far things have been cordial. People obviously voicing their opinions, but up to this point, people following what rules have been laid out, people being relatively polite to one another. This is the scene just outside of North Park Library. You can imagine some discussion is being had by people going inside and outside of this building. There have been many protests leading up to this event, and today protesters have showed up for the actual event itself. We're taking a live look now as we walk away from the library to a number of protesters who are actually across the parking lot there, many of them bringing some type of audio aid like megaphones to have their voices heard, holding up signs, and we all are just now getting some information coming from inside the library that this Drag Queen Story Hour has begun. So the performer we just highlighted there, Owen Jackson, known as Florentine Dawn, a drag queen this morning, is reading to families inside the Evansville North Park Branch Library this morning. This is the first of three 25-minute sessions that are scheduled this morning. So the way we've been able to understand it is as this session goes on, 3 stories will be read. There may be some follow-up activities like coloring or other things you may imagine would happen at the library. Then another group is going to come in, and then there will be a third group that participates. They have told us there's a larger crowd than what they expected, the library that is, and also security who's been put on tap for this event. So you can see there's a line outside waiting to get in the doors. There's also a line on the outside of cones that have been set up by security to keep everyone who decides to protest away from the library at least 10 feet. That is library public policy. To give you some background on this event, it was something that was decided that would be programming at the Evansville Public Library a few months ago, but it's not something that's just happening in this area. It's been controversial in many other states, including South Carolina, where just a few days ago, a week ago, an event was held and a lawmaker in South Carolina tried but failed to set a precedent, taking away funding from libraries in that state that host events like Drag Queen Story Hour. So it's been controversial down in Greenville, South Carolina. We can also report that an event is scheduled in Indianapolis today, a few hours from now, at a bookstore there. So this is a private bookstore in Indianapolis. They are scheduled to have a Drag Queen Story Hour as well. There have been events in Illinois, up near Chicago, New Jersey, New York, California, North Carolina, Wisconsin, Nebraska, Louisiana, Florida, and Tennessee. So really all across the country, we've seen events similar to this one, some held at private bookstores, some held at libraries. There's been controversy at a few of them, including the one that's taking place currently this morning at the Evansville North Park Library. You can see some security, some police forces there. You can also see protesters, some of them holding up large signs with megaphones across the parking lot from where many people are also lined up to participate in this event. We've been told that the room is at capacity, so instead of having a 1-hour story event, they decided to break it up into 3 25-minute sessions. That first 25-minute session is now officially underway with the performer reading to families and students and their children. And we'll bring you guys more coverage of this here on our Facebook page as things progress throughout the day. But now that this event has started, there's also an event at the Gathering Church down the street at Walnut. We'll let those events take place. We'll keep our cameras there. We'll keep our reporters there. We have 3 reporters, 3 photographers at these scenes. You can follow us on social media as these events take place for the next hour. We'll join you once again here on Facebook as things wrap up to get reaction from protesters and the people taking place, putting this event on inside the Evansville North Park Library.